Phoenix Down Radio is on the air.
Welcome everybody to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 143. I'm your host, Klauss Nightbringer. Joining me, we have a Taliz and a Seyrr. What's going on, boys?
A lot, because I can actually use a screen. So I've been catching up on like 9 years of gaming this week.
Nice.
Yeah, in this 1 week.
In this 1 week, yeah. It's been kind of a lot.
Yeah, somebody got some new gunner glasses.
Yep, and they are rad, and I can read, I can watch movies, I can play video games, I can play Destiny. I'm gonna try out Genshin Impact next week. I can do stuff that I haven't been able to do in literal years.
And every single light source in front of you glares off of them terribly, just like mine.
Exactly. Well, I also have a TV in front of me, which isn't particularly helpful.
Yeah, with 4 monitors, one of them with full white with our show notes. Yeah, it's good times. Good times.
My eyes just work.
Ooh, I'm Seyrr and I have good vision.
It's okay. I'm slightly red-green colorblind.
Well, if the women don't find your hands, they should at least find your handy.
So you did figure out a thing to be weak at.
Something like that.
No.
Good.
I'm finding that it's a lot
reasonable way to react.
It's a lot more common to have color blindness than I'm finding now. People who were colorblind maybe didn't know it for a while.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different things where it's like where it might have been like in past historical stuff, like this might have been a thing, but it also would have never come up. Like one that came up was like with autism or sensory processing type things where it's like, people tended to live in like much smaller, quieter things. Like big modern noisy cities are a modern thing. And so there's lots of people who historically might have had trouble who just never got into put in a situation where it would have come up.
That's very true. I mean, and like I said, it was a lot less densely populated, and
yep.
And there could have been people who were, but just it was classified as something else, like whether it was like demon possession or.
I mean, like relatedly, look at stories and accounts of like changeling children, and then compare that to the diagnostic criteria for Asperger's and autism.
Ooh, piece of candy.
So much detail that I don't even have in my brain. But I'm glad that you do, because somebody needs to.
Yes.
I can find the stuff later if you are interested. It's pretty fascinating.
Potentially.
Oh, so, and then I decided to eat some pizza today.
Just some. Only a small amount, though, right?
Only an entire 16-inch. While being timed.
Man, Klauss, people struggle to take 12 inches, and you did like an extra 4?
Oh my.
Tonight's episode of Seyrr's an awful human sometimes.
We knew that. So that's part of the reason why he's still here.
I said sometimes, not all the time.
Oh, no.
Seyrr misunderstood, and he was doing it all the time.
I have to keep you guessing.
So he was just faking it, is what you're saying. But no, anyway, there was a pizza eating contest. Last time I was in this, I took second place. I was 11 seconds behind the person who won. This year, I made up for that, and I destroyed second place. I ate my pizza in 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Second place was 17 minutes.
Dang.
Bro.
Did you do any of like that competitive eating stuff, like dunking it in water or anything like that?
Not at all.
I was gonna say, like, dude, do you need a minute? Like, are you gonna be okay?
Well, and the thing is, I wasn't any faster than the last time, really. I was either 40 seconds slower or 20 seconds faster than the last time.
So you're going for consistency,
or
what's that, Seyrr?
Oh, I was like, did the previous ones just not compete, or like was it a different group of people?
No, first place. The guy who got first place last time was there, and he's the one who got second place. I'm just consistent.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because you started running. That's what it is.
No, the thing is, I was running. The last one was only like 2 years ago, and I haven't run in 3.
I thought you were getting back into it not too long ago.
No, I want to. I need to, but I
A
have
lot
not
of
yet.
plans got kind of fucked up by everything.
Yes.
You don't say.
Nani?
Why did we let him have a soundboard?
Because we wanted him to, because there's some excellent sound effects on it.
Because you didn't have a choice, Seyrr.
I mean, there's that.
But no, it was fun. Like I said, it was kind of nice to get out of the house a little bit. I was still, to be 100% honest with you, it was right on the edge of too many people for me.
Yeah, it's kind of feels like we're in a point where it's like stuff is okay-ish, but not quite. And where exactly is the line? And it is unclear and a little bit weird to try to work it out.
Fortunately, I was able to keep my distance for the most part. I stayed back while waiting for this to start, and then I was on an end of the table, so I was as far away from my nearest competitor as possible. And as soon as I was done, mask went back on.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm fully vaccinated. You know, it's been more than 2 weeks since my last
So you got
one.
shot number 2?
Yeah, since I had shot number 2, and I'm still leery.
Yeah.
I hearing about all these new strains coming out that have increased resistance against these things, or can get through the protection. I'm just worried about it, and I know this isn't necessarily the right place to talk about it per se, but I still feel I need to.
We talk
express
about
that.
our lives sometimes. It's allowable.
That's true. So it was still a lot of fun to see some friends. Like saw my boss from the pizza place. He was there, and
Nice.
I was a little worried that I wasn't going to actually be allowed to participate because I'm technically still employed there, even though I haven't worked a shift in almost a year. But
It's a year already?
Well, it's been about 9 months.
Okay.
It was
Time's
summer.
weird.
Time is
Yeah,
very weird.
time doesn't exist.
No, we're all in the TARDIS right now. We just don't know it because it's
Like-
bigger on the inside.
That one McSweeney's article they did about how time works now, they did a follow-up.
Of course they did. Did it come out before the first article, though?
Of course.
I think no, but I can't be 100% sure. We don't exactly have linearity going on anymore.
Because I would 100% post a follow-up article and then post the original article that I was referencing a week later. just because I could.
You would.
Yeah.
You would.
It'd be so good. I need to do this now. Where's my notepad?
But other than that, that's been my excitement for the last 2 weeks, I think. I have been getting into the game. I've been enjoying it. Oh,
Good.
but just before patch 5.5 dropped, I think it was on Thursday, I got my Amaro.
Woo.
And I also now have my Blue Mage at 60.
Nice.
So I have
nice.
10 levels to go, and I will have everything. I should have everything taken care of before Endwalker. And then I get to start it all over again.
Yup.
Those will be the days, huh?
I got to do a dungeon with somebody that plays like every 3 months. She's a teacher, so her job changed a lot in the last year.
I
And
suppose.
she jumped on. She's like, I haven't played in a while, but she's keeping up with MSQ. But every time she gets to a dungeon, she just goes to a market board, buys gear until she can do that dungeon, does the dungeon one time, and then logs out for until the next patch.
Well,
I was online
like,
with her
Doesn't even
yesterday.
do the after quest?
No, I mean she finishes all of MSQ, but
Okay.
like that's all she really has time for. That's why she doesn't. She knows she doesn't have time. She knows she's not interested, so she focuses on the things that she loves about it.
So
Makes
subs
sense.
And
every 3
which
months.
works.
and-
And
So the
Yoshi
problem
has
is that she was-
explicitly- Oh,
She
Yoshi
was
has
eye level 478.
Ooh,
Oof.
yeah, that's a little, yeah.
478, and we were like, no. And so every time our healer dropped, we were like, it's like, oh, the summoner can. I'm like, no, we just wiped, dude. Like, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
An hour later, we finished the dungeon. She died during the boss. Shock surprise. It was an event.
Did she, I guess like she could use trusts, but I guess it is more fun to like, actually do shit with you.
It is more fun to do stuff with all the people in your FC.
Yeah.
She plays because of the FC.
Yeah.
Oh, so
And-
it's somebody here on Hyperion?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And I mean, for what it's worth, Yoshi P has outright said, "Hey, like he knows this is the way people play it, and he is fine with that and wants to support that."
I was just gonna
And-
say maybe we could get together and send them some gear for their main.
See, we did that. We had like, let's get all of your gear. Let's get you geared up. Let's play for a week. She had a couple weeks off. We did all the stuff. We got her to play. And then she was like, cool. I have custody of my kid for 2 months straight. And I also have to go back to work next week. And we didn't hear from her for 6 months. So we're just like, we're not giving you anything because you never play. So we just buy her gear every once in a while. Call it good.
Yeah. But like, maybe we will not go make a full Exarchic set.
No.
HQ
No, but-
Pentameld.
God, yeah, she's like eye level 491 off the shelf NQ / gear from raid / basic level tier like 490 500 gear that she's bought with tomes eventually. It's rough, but
I mean,
she plays.
I'm
She
glad
enjoys
she still
playing.
plays, and that as long as she still enjoys the game and the people that she's playing with understand, there's nothing wrong with
No
that.
problems here.
She's come to a bunch of the meetups that we used to do when that group was still active. She's the one that forwarded me her email for buying tickets to FanFest 2 years ago
Nice.
because I didn't get mine, but she got hers. So like she's still very active in the community and she's active in the game. She just knows that running a career, half running a school, and having a child, little bit time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She
And
has
again,
her
I
priorities.
really like that there's support for like lots of different people and lifestyles, and not just the you have to be able to go hardcore at it or this game is not for you.
That's boring.
Yeah.
I like playing a game that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, more power to the people who can make that work as well. I just like that it's not just for them.
Yeah, but I
Nope.
do like this that there's a community that can support all types.
Yeah. And
AOCA is welcoming to all people.
100%.
not just that the community supports it, but the outright game supports it.
Absolutely. All right. I think at that point, let's go ahead and jump into some game and community news. How's that for a segue? Pretty shitty, I know.
Segues are bad.
I give it like a 6.
All right. Let's start with some Final Fantasy adjacent news. As I was digging through the news, this one stuck out to me. Apparently, Square Enix had to go out and deny rumors of a potential sale of the company. This is an actual New York Post article that I found. So this is like real news and shit.
Yeah, my tracker on my phone actually popped this up for me because I follow a bunch of other companies that I might invest in, and this popped up as like rising, and I was like,
Well, I mean,
that's not normal.
no, I mean, if you look at the history of what's been going on the last year or so with Microsoft buying ZeniMax, you know, including Bethesda and all of their properties, and now they're in
Yeah.
exclusive talks to buy Discord.
I mean, that was one of the ones I was about to bring up. I don't think. I think that was very much the desire is there from one side, but not from the other.
I don't
And
know.
that's something we've been seeing a lot. Like, there's mentioned that one company is interested in buying another, and people often leap to the conclusion that, oh, that means it's going to happen. Like, Discord has been pretty explicit about not wanting to sell.
I don't know. Like I said, it's looking like it's a higher possibility than not, though they are also looking at going public. So I mean, there's a couple of different things. Maybe they might be trying to drive up their IPO price.
They seem reasonably committed to keeping their vision of the platform work as is. Like, I can only think that the reason they would sell is if they actually could have some way to ensure it wouldn't turn into some bloated ad-driven monstrosity.
I would certainly hope that that would be the case. Though, that being said, if they were to come up with some way to roll in Discord Nitro with like a with your Game Pass subscription, that would be amazing. Just saying.
But so yeah, this was another one where like maybe there was a company that would love to do that, or like people are saying, "Hey, we're interested in that," but it's like if Square's not really interested, it's not like they can go and say, "We're gonna make you sell."
Exactly. So basically, what ended up happening is there were some rumors circulating on Thursday that there was potential talks of some banks had mentioned something about companies interested in purchasing what's it called, the controlling shares of
Controlling
Square Enix.
interest.
Yep. And Square Enix issued a statement firmly denying those reports. And even so, the rumors caused their stock to go up 12%. So that's pretty good.
Just kind of a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
$60. What are they, like 60? Our notes say 63.43.
At the time of the writing.
6,900 yen for share is actually like kind of low for a tech company specifically, but Square Enix is specifically going into entertainment IP for the most part, as opposed to something like Sony that does hardware and software.
Though they
How
do
many
have,
shares do they even have outstanding?
I'm not sure, but they have a market cap of about 800 billion yen. I believe the article said. It said 800 billion. I'm assuming they meant yen, because I don't think that any company is going to have that much, unless you're Amazon.
Yeah,
or Tesla.
It'd be something in that thing.
Yeah, 800 billion.
Yeah, about that to be
Like,
about
that's a
about
lot.
Call it
7.8
$8 billion.
Yeah, $8 billion.
7.9. Yeah, give or take.
Yeah,
It's not bad. Like, it's quite a bit.
I mean, slightly more than the ZeniMax.
Off 2 digits, and that's enough.
It's close enough.
But from the actual press release, they said, "We do not consider selling off the company or any part of its businesses, nor have we received any offer from any third party to acquire the company or any part of its business." So it's no, it hasn't happened. So
Final Fantasy Union on YouTube was going to do a history of Square, big documentary thing. It's about an hour long. They started working on it, reached a point where they're like, this is too big to put into one thing. So they're breaking it up into 3. And one of the chapters is going to specifically focus on kind of the very quick rise and the very quick fall, which led to the merger with Enix. And I was like, okay, that's going to be super, super cool. And then I remembered, I was like, wait, when did that video get published? And it was about 18 hours after all of this stock news happened.
Oh, so
And
it's
I'm
a brand new
sitting here
video.
going, oh, good. So they're researching the history of Square as Square is currently adjusting their future plans. Awesome.
Well,
that's the life of a historian.
Yeah.
That's what they call job security.
We have to keep finding new history for them to work out. You can't have people with that kind of mind have time on their hands.
Yep. I just thought that was all kind of interesting. So, all right. So, next bit of news, we'll talk about some Final Fantasy VII news that popped up. The Final Fantasy VII Remake DLC intermission will be PS5 exclusive and is not included with the PS5 free upgrade.
So if you're going from PS4 to PS5 and getting the free upgrade from that, you do not get the DLC out of that.
Yep, and there's more to talk about that in a second, but as part of this article talks from IGN, it talks about Square Enix announced that Final Fantasy VII Remake integrate for PS5's new Yuffie Focus episode will be called Final Fantasy VII Remake Episode Intermission.
With the inter all capitalized.
Yes. Then they also shared the English voice cast. Yuffie will be voiced by Susie Young. Sonon will be voiced by Alex Lee. Weiss will be voiced by Damon Mills. Now, I'm gonna totally slaughter this. Taliz, do you have a better way to pronounce that next name?
Oh, ZJ?
Is it just
the
ZJ?
JI is like the sound effect, if I remember right.
So it's almost like CJ? CJ?
Almost. We're gonna pronounce it wrong because we have violently North American accents.
ZHIJIE. I believe that's how it's spelled. Voiced by Griffin Puatu. I apologize if I slaughtered your name too.
I don't recognize half these names. It's like, okay, what have they worked on? Yeah. I do not know voice actors.
I don't either. But I thought maybe somebody out there might know if it recognize it from another video game or another anime series. Nayo is voiced by Ashley Becher.
Bocher.
Becher.
Bocher. Something. Anyway,
Billy Bob is voiced by David Goldstein, and Poke is voiced by Daniel Ammerman. So if you guys recognize any of those names, cool. I unfortunately do not, but I'm still looking forward to the DLC.
For the two main names, Yuffie and then who's the other one? Sonon Kusakabe. The guy is known for his work on Demon Slayer and also was in Doom Eternal. Interesting.
Cool.
And then Susie Young, let's see, a certain scientific railgun. I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. Oh, she did some side roles in that. Gleipner. I do not recognize half of these, but she's been in a pretty good amount of anime.
Okay. Very interesting. Looking forward to how they work then with the cast from the original game when they start working together. Or some of them start working together in part 2.
Yeah.
And then there was also, it didn't specify it in this article, but I did some more research because I needed to find out. But apparently the DLC will be $20. And I found that information from Digital Trends. The new episode titled Intermission will be available as a standalone purchase for $20 starting on June 10th. Players who purchase Integrate itself will get the story content as part of that bundle, which is standard edition is $70 and the digital deluxe is $90.
I am torn between like, oof, that's a lot, and I've been trying to say, hey, games maybe move away from having everything be the same $60 price point and then using DLC to make up the gap. So it's like, I guess I should make up my mind on what I actually want here.
No, I get you. It's $60 is still, $70 is more than 60.
For economics and as like a pricing model thing, I am happy for it. As someone who has the salary of a government worker, really, I just want more money.
Okay, that's fair.
That's not even Square Enix's fault. I just want more money.
No, that's fair. I mean, the cost of creating games is gone up so much.
Yeah,
but the
and
cost.
we've had like an interesting differentiation between like kind of the indie market and then like the AAA stuff. And I'm happy that there's offerings at the different price levels.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's moving towards the type of thing I think is healthier for the market as a whole. Just personally for my pocketbook.
I mean, if you think about it this way, video games have been $60 for a very, very, very long time. And there was a chunk of time when they were actually more expensive. Like Super Nintendo games were $70.
It's kind of insane that the price has remained that constant.
Neo Geo games are the one difference. Those are about $150 to $200 per game. But then again, that system was also like $700 when it was released back in the 90s.
$790 is a lot.
And $290 is a lot for a video game too. And the fact that we're just now getting to the point where the AAA next gen games are costing $70. Hey, we're lucky.
Here we are. So $70 in 1990 today would be about $145.
So yeah, that would be a $200 or $400 game from Neo Geo. That would buy you a Switch and a couple of games.
Yep.
I mean, granted, the Neo Geo was something amazing. I wanted one so bad, but I just played the games in the arcades instead.
Yeah, I don't know how they managed to work out reasonable prices for any of this.
But
economics is weird, guys.
Indeed. Well, I mean, they're also pushing, I think, more. We're selling more consoles and more video games now than we were back then as well. Video gaming is becoming a lot more synonymous with just everyday life.
Yeah, it's a lot more accessible. The market has been grown. When you can do that, you can bring prices down.
Yeah,
there's lots of dynamics going on with it.
Exactly, but the cost to make those games is still very high. I mean, I'm not an economist, so.
I have a minor in it, but it's still weird. Most economists are kind of making it up anyways.
I think we're all making it up at this point.
True.
All right, and then some Final Fantasy XIV news before we jump into our main discussion topic tonight. The Final Fantasy XIV PS5 beta is live. Who's playing on PS5?
Yeah, rub it in, punk.
I am actually currently signed into my PS5 right now, and that's what we are currently streaming with in game right now. So for those of you who couldn't tell the difference,
high resolution.
why it's the same resolution it's lower resolution than what I normally play in, because I'm currently streaming from my capture card, which is 1080.
I don't know. Do something PS5y. Push a thingy. I don't know.
There. Here's my button. Here's my buttons. Push my buttons.
I do that on a weekly basis, Klauss.
Oh,
that's not new or interesting.
You're not wrong. All right, so let me go ahead and paste this for those who are interested. That is the link to the PlayStation blog where our favorite community manager, Matt Bayonne Hilton, wrote in talking about all of the lovely things that we get with the PS5. Some of the key points. This open beta has no limits. We play the entire game. It's all there. So that's really nice. That the only thing they're really testing is for any major game-breaking bugs within the PS5 code to make sure that before they release it in full, that there's nothing, terrible that's going to happen to people's games, clients, or whatever. So, and once they've gotten a good feel of everything, they'll be releasing the full version of the game to the PlayStation Store, and you'll be able to download that and jump right in. It might be pretty seamless actually from the beta. At least I'm hoping it is. For the first time, we have 4K on a console. They are offering 3 different rendering resolutions to choose from in the PS5 version: 4K, 1440p, and 1080p. Matt had specified that 1080 and 1440 should allow for 60 FPS smooth. 4K is going to be right around 30 to 40 FPS. But I mean, you're also rendering up to 4 times the amount of pixels at that time. So the fact that you're getting
pretty solid.
Yeah, more than half of what you would be getting at 1440, it's still pretty good.
Words, numbers, screen look pretty, words, numbers, words.
And they did specify
Does the screen look pretty? Can you see the things? Is it running on a toaster?
Oops, I forgot to actually hit enter here. So there's the actual link to the article. They also specified that, of course, there are some instances where you have a few dozen to a few hundred players gathering in certain areas, which places a heavy load on rendering. But even then, you should be able to achieve around a stable 30 FPS. So you're not going to get 60 FPS in 4K when you're standing in Limsa, all right? Just ain't happening.
No, that's not going to happen.
Not on a console. Not on a $500 console. If you've got a $3,000 PC, yeah, you'll get maybe 60 FPS.
I was going to say there's a loss somewhere in the bell curve where you just go, okay, how much money are we spending versus the results that we're getting?
My system with a 5800X and a 3080 gets me about 78 FPS in 1440. So at 4K, I don't think I'd be at 60.
No, probably not.
But it'd be interesting to find out one of these days.
And you're gonna find out, because that's the type of person that you want to be. So you're gonna find out.
Well, I got to get upgraded monitors before I do that first. God. But I got to find the right monitors. I love these monitors, but we'll talk about that later. Continuing on, faster loading. No, updated UI is the next one. The initial UI for the PlayStation was rendered at 720p. So the biggest thing that they did is they went in and they redesigned it and made it so it scales much better. So as Video Dragon said in the chat, it is crispy. And it does look pretty nice.
Is crispy good or not? I don't even know anymore.
I suppose it all depends. I mean, you don't want your fruit roll-up to be crispy, but you definitely want your fried chicken to be crispy.
Okay, but in context here, you are making this worse. That's my job.
Okay, it's crisp. It is clean. It is sharp.
Okay, cool. I know those words.
I just went with exactly what they said in chat, and it was UI is crispy. Matt, it made you lose a little bit, so that's a win.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Nick Nars typed "I love my" and then had a stroke. AOC CQ 27 G2 apostrophe S.
Those are his monitors.
Oh,
No.
okay. Yeah,
Okay.
it looks like he had a stroke.
No, that's I think the same monitors that I have. 1440, 144 hertz. Curved.
Numbers.
My monitor was $89 in the front of Fry's on like a Thursday night
Yeah.
I
in
got
like
this-
2012. That's what I
got
bought.
this one from my friend Andy because he didn't need it anymore.
Nick Nar got the same monitors that I had because his broke when he came to see me on and try and help out during Extra Life, and I felt bad, and I let him borrow my other monitors instead, and then and he went home and bought these monitors, so we have matching monitors. We're monitor brothers.
Is that a thing?
No.
God, I hope not.
No, Nick Nar says that my door attempted murder on him. I think he forgot to lift his foot.
That counts as murder.
Oh. Okay, I guess. So faster loading times. The PS5 version is able to take advantage of the and Sarah, you're gonna love these words and letters. PCIe Gen 4 NVMe SSD.
Okay, you're just making this up now.
Actually, no.
I know.
I feel like I need to have my ukulele out and I just play random chords as you just read off part numbers. That's an aesthetic for someone somewhere, and I want to turn it into a thing.
Make it a thing when I start talking technobabble.
No, here's the trick. Okay, guys, we got this. Get the ukulele, and I'm gonna play chords, and you're gonna read off the specs of your entire computer using only numbers and letters and no like names and no words, just letters and numbers.
This honestly sounds kind of enjoyable, and I am here for it.
We'll
Post show is gonna be lit, y'all. Stick around.
Okay. So, layman's terms. Really fast storage device make game go fast. So the load times are extremely fast. I mean, we're talking about it's much faster than a PS4 and closer to being on par with what PC players are experiencing with their SSDs. So it is very nice. I have to say, there's very little difference that I notice loading into a new zone from my PS5 versus loading into a new zone from my PC. It's really, really nice. It's not instant still, but I mean it's much. You're not sitting there for waiting for your hard drive to spin up and find the right zone and then load that up. So it's good stuff. And actually, they also made some code improvements that are helping PS4 load times as well. So that is some positive that came out of that. The other cool thing, haptic feedback. They're able to take advantage of the DualSense controller's haptic feedback features and allowing some really cool feel as you're running around the world. Things like you feel footsteps of various mounts, different actions for your crafters and gatherers. They went very light on it for the Disciples of War and Magic, but if people want that, that's something they're willing to look into. And they also decided to look into some use of the triggers. These haptic triggers that you actually, when you pull on them, it will actually, you'll feel a difference in that in certain things that are in first person mode. I think if you were to go and shoot the porksies at the beavers in Ilmag, you might feel some of that snap when you're pulling the triggers.
That could be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I talked a little bit about how that feels when I was playing some Astro's Playroom, but it's really interesting. It's hard to explain. You really need to experience it for yourself, but it's really cool once you experience it. And then they also talked about they're trying to utilize 3D audio support as well. That's one of the biggest or one of the big sellers with the PlayStation 5 is they're able to kind of mold the sound a little bit better so it feels more immersive based on your location in the game. On PC, if you turn around in a house, you know, and you move around, you can hear the location of the orchestrion change.
Nice.
You know, well,
that'd be cool.
That's been a thing for quite a while within the game, as far as like, but they've been able to enhance and build upon that, using the 3D audio technology on the PlayStation 5.
So the PlayStation players get to enjoy some of these features that may have been like kind of limited to PC before.
Yep, and actually they've been able to probably enhance it a little bit because it's designed within the system itself.
Nice.
But you have
Love
to have
the fact that this is all crap that we were looking at 20 years ago as science fiction, and now we're like, yeah, let me just run to Best Buy and buy that.
Yep.
The future is weird.
It's so crazy how far we've come.
You do need to make sure that your audio device, your headset or whatever, is 3D audio compatible. Not every headset you can't just plug in your standard headset and have it work in 3D audio. It has to be designed in a certain way to change where the audio is coming out through the drivers. But it seems like a really neat thing. And then since I've been playing on it a little bit, I figured I would give some of my thoughts as well.
I was going to say, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on PS5 because, like, I will probably never own a PC again. So, like, whatever the console version of a game is the one that I'm going to play.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have questions. So I'm hoping that you answer them, but I have a lot of questions.
Yep. And I will also say, before I go in, I will say, like I said, my experience is limited. I am mainly a PC player, but I did take the time this week to go through and run a few different specific things on my PS5, but using keyboard and mouse, because that's what I'm used to. I'm not going to relearn an entire game just so I can, talk about how well the controller works.
Wow, Klauss. Way to put in minimal effort.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I deserve this.
I cannot play a video game on a keyboard. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
So if there is somebody out there who has a PS5, has played it on the new haptic controller and wants to write in with your experience, please do email us podcast@phoenixstormradio.com. Hit us up on social media. Leave a comment in the videos, wherever you see this, let us know. We want to have some more information as well. So with that in mind, these are my limited takes on my experience so far. But like I said, played on a crappy keyboard and mouse that I had spare down here. So I wasn't going to unhook everything. Okay. I wasn't going to unhook and plug in my expensive mechanical keyboard and MMO mouse into it for a few minutes of play, just to have to go back under the desk and hook everything back up again. Especially since I needed that keyboard and mouse to work on the computer, because I was actually broadcasting it from my Stream Deck, or not my capture card.
I have one keyboard outside of the one that's in my laptop, and it's just like sitting here, and like 9.5 inches away is a PS4, and there's just a fuck ton of cable that's just like everywhere because it's way too long.
But I will say that the ability for the PlayStation to just pick up that keyboard and mouse, that was great. It picked it up, it detected it, everything worked wonderful. Very nice. And the game automatically detected, I brought down my settings that I had saved up to the cloud for my my client and my my character.
Your UI and stuff.
Even though they were played on the Windows version, they came down to the PS5. So that's cool.
Wait.
And
sorry, that's taking me a second to process, because I played Phantasy Star back in the Xbox and GameCube and Dreamcast days, and they were separated by everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, wait, I can upload a thing and pull it down separately on a completely unique piece of hardware. That's super, super cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that it detected and everything just worked, it switched it over to keyboard and mouse inputs automatically, because that's what I use on the PC. And all my key mappings except for one set worked. I had to remap all of my equal sign key mappings, because for some reason, when I brought it down, it put it onto semicolon.
That's a weird. I'm trying to think of multi-design.
But if that's the only thing that got messed up that I noticed so far, that's not bad. I just had to find where the keybinds were again and fix it. So that was bringing my UI down to my PS5, and that worked pretty well. The frame rate wasn't bad. Being used to playing on 100 plus FPS, I did notice stutters. But overall, I ran through the newest dungeon, and I was able to get through that pretty easily. I didn't lag out for any reason because of things on the screen or too many elements or too many UI or anything going on there that didn't cause me any issues. Load times, like I said, were very comparable to my PC, and that was actually very impressive because I did try and play on my PlayStation 4 a couple of times, and that was painful. So those of you guys still on hard drives, spinning disk drives, I'm sorry. I cannot wait.
My PS4's been solid state since I bought it.
Really?
The last like 3 that I've had have all been solid state. Well, okay, the 2 that Bannon has had that I've played on, and the one that I have, and then the one that I bought and then sold to make rent a couple years ago, they've all been solid state, dude.
Interesting, because I thought all PlayStations, because they're the 500 gig and 1 terabyte versions, right? Is what they sell right now.
Dude, you're asking me hardware specs. I went to freaking Fred Meyer and picked it up off the shelf and walked over and bought it.
I could have swore that they were all, just regular laptop hard drives, not solid state. But if they are, awesome. If not, I just thought they were still running the cheaper hard drives.
Yeah, I've never had an issue with it. Like, I've never had an issue with space or timing or load times or anything. I mean, I do have an issue with load times sometimes, but that's just because our internet is not top trim.
Interesting. Well, I know Nick Nar said his PS5 Pro or PS4 Pro was a 2.5-inch hard drive. So, where was I? Like I said, ran through the dungeon, as well as I also explored the world a little bit just to see what it was like in Ilmag, and I explored a little bit of Limsa. And like I said, it did slow down a little bit, but it never became unplayable.
That's good.
Like I said, keyboard mouse support, it was nice that it automatically recognized. The mouse was a little sluggish and slow. That's my only complaint. I don't think it was because of the cheap mouse, but
that actually is probably not, unfortunately, because I use what is this? Razer Death Adder. Where every once in a while, when I want to just adjust the crap out of the UI, I plug it into the PS4, just make life a little bit easier. And it definitely is not 100% used to having this as your device for a mouse. It is used to having this as your device for a mouse. So it's a little bit rough. So that might just be a hardware limitation because we can't install drivers to get everything perfect.
Yep. We have basic keyboard and mouse support.
Yep.
But I may actually take the time, bring everything up to my 4K TV, and hook up all my good peripherals and give it a thorough test drive and see how it all runs.
Solid shakedown run.
Yeah, see what happens. But beyond that, overall, very impressed from my limited experience I had on the PS4. So if you are on the fence about getting a PS5, if you have the means and the opportunity to do so, I recommend it. Not only for this game, but overall gaming experience, it's been very nice. I've been playing some Fall Guys on there as well, and that's a lot of fun to play on that.
Nice.
Plus the fact that there's just a lot of pretty good games. It's all backwards compatible with PS4. So if you have a catalog of PS4 games, you're not going to lose any of those. Just make sure that if you have physical discs, you get the physical version, or you get the one with the disc drive, which is going to be a little more expensive. It's the one that's probably I don't know, they're both really sought after, but if you can, and if you have questions on how to procure one, I can maybe help out. I've gone through a few different Discords and other groups that help to help people find out when there are drops. And
it is a little frustrating that it's still such an ordeal to get them,
but there are communities that are out there to help regular people get a PS5 or a graphics card or a processor or whatever, because things are a little spendy, and if you can at all avoid purchasing from a scalper, please do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, if you're interested, like I said, it was weird. I actually had 2 pre-orders at one point. I had gotten one from Walmart first, but that was going to take me a month to get. I would have just gotten it like last week.
Didn't you have one and then you sold it?
I
and
did.
Then you got more pre-orders and stuff?
Yep, I sold it because I needed the money for my car.
Worth it.
Yeah.
And then I waited until I was able to afford another one, and then I purchased one initially from Walmart, and then I was able to the next day get a pre-order in at Best Buy, or not a pre-order, but a purchase for Best Buy, and I was going to get that one in like a week versus a month. Then I asked friends if they needed one, like coworkers, and unfortunately nobody else needed one, so I just canceled that one. Nicknar, if I knew you wanted it, I would have saved it for you, but it would be a little difficult to ship it across country to you, Taliz. But if you ever want help to procure one, let me know. I can do what I can.
Probably poke one around. It's not too hard to acquire. Like, I just found a bunch, but it's just like, do I want to spend $600 right now? And it's like, nah. Being on fun employment's rough. I'm good.
They're getting a little bit better. There is more and more little drops every day. I'm seeing more still from GameStop. There's Best Buy is dropping them still. Walmart.
Yeah.
I'm honestly willing to just wait until the holidays because that's how production works. Thank you for Nintendo teaching me way more than I'm supposed to know. There's gonna be some available in November, December, and January.
We hope.
I already waited after launch. It doesn't matter at this point.
Some of it is also just a supply of processors, and there's just basic supply chain things, such that even if they want to increase the supply, it is really hard right now.
Yeah,
Pandemic things up.
It's not even just the pandemic. There's actually a massive drought going on in Taiwan where most of these chips are being produced.
Yep.
So that's
a little weird and rough right now.
Welcome to Tech Talk here on Phoenix Down Radio, where we talk about stuff that we can't afford and nobody can buy.
Woo!
Unless you're me. Just kidding.
Hey, does anybody want a PS5?
He just buys it anyways.
Yo, does anybody want a PS5 copy of Spider-Man?
I'm good.
Because I just straight found one, Spider-Man and console with disc for $500.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's actually...
I'm not going to buy it because I don't have $500 and I don't care about Spider-Man. But, it's there.
Maybe send Nicknar that link. What if
you were to get him pictures of Spider-Man?
No. J. Jonah Jameson is a great dude, but...
Is he, though?
No, he's not. I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, I have some thoughts on the guy who played him in the movies, but yeah, we'll talk about that on the after show.
The jam session, you mean?
Because I don't know if you guys have been following some of the new stuff that's coming out on streaming media right now, but Amazon has a superhero cartoon called Invincible.
Yep. And
the guy who played J.J. Jameson in the original Spider-Man movies is the voice of one of the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's he's so perfect for that role too. Anyway, we can talk about that later. Moving on, like I had mentioned earlier on this before I got into my thoughts, if you want to share your thoughts with us on your experience on PlayStation 5, please feel free to share them with us. Podcast at phoenixdownradio.com or whatever. If you want to reach out on social media or whatever, we're more than happy to read your comments and get your thoughts as well, because we want to know if somebody's using it as their main console. That's how they're playing the game. We want to know what your day-to-day experience is like. But besides getting the PS5 beta on Tuesday, we also got a new patch. What?
Thank heaven. Thank the 12. We got a patch and stuff's going on finally.
Yes. So we are going to ruin all of the stories. Just kidding. It's going to be completely spoiler free.
Today's spoiler free, and as usual, 2 weeks from now, we're going to blow it wide open and gush about all of the cool stuff. But today, spoiler free.
Yep. So we're going to keep it just to we're going to talk vaguely about our thoughts, you know, how we thought things went, things we enjoyed. And then, of course, there are going to be some things that really aren't spoilery that we'll discuss. If you're interested in following along, I will post a link to the full patch notes as well here, so you can check out those. I'm gonna actually bring them up right now because I didn't write down very much as far as things in here, because it's all gonna be our thoughts, and there's not really, can't really write those down.
Thoughts and prayers? Thoughts and prayers? No. Okay.
God.
Mute.
I deserve whatever is
Seyrr.
about to
so-
happen to me.
Right.
So
And we mute the Seyrr. So it's 5.5, and historically, based on Heaven's Word and Stormblood, 5.5 is kind of the last thing that we get. We get like a 5.5 or a 4.5, 5. I think we've got like 3.56 or something like that. So we get a couple more smaller patches over the next couple of months until we get that next expansion, which I believe they said the date was September.
next expansion is
think
gonna be
so.
coming.
Yeah.
Well, no, they said fall.
Fall, so sometime between September and November.
Yeah, we'll probably get a date in May during FanFest, but for right
Likely.
now, we've been told fall.
Fall.
They pushed it back.
Which again is, instead of getting the expansion in July like we've historically done for the last couple, they just pushed everything back because of the global pepperoni. And now we are back to, this is just going to be the new kind of 2-ish year cycle for updates. So this is kind of our last big patch. This is our last thing that we add the 24-man, that we add the last raid, that we mess with tombstones again. This is the last one of those, which means that we've kind of hit our pseudo ceiling for gear in Shadowbringers.
But the other great thing about the 0.5 and 0.55 patches is this is the quality of life patches. This is where we get a lot of things where, you know, they've looked at the development for the last 2 years and they're like, okay, what changes can we make before we actually push them into, you know, the whole new expansion? You know,
Okay. There's one thing. This is not spoilery. It is actually potentially my favorite thing in the patch so far. Mind you, all I've done is MSQ and nothing else. On the targeting ring on bosses.
Oh yes, that is
A
very
couple years ago, they decided to put an arrow at the top of it so we knew which way was the front way. So if we were like face down in our keyboard or we're like trying to hit our buttons and we're not watching the fight, we knew which direction was forward, especially important for things like Dragoons and Monks and Samurai to a lesser extent for hitting those directionals so that we hit all of our combos correctly. The problem is that now we had a good 12 o'clock marker, which by comparison gave us a good 6 o'clock marker. But that's all we really got. We only had 1 point in that 360 degrees. They have decided in their benevolence, sarcasm again, to give us little tiny markers that are arrow shaped that are on the 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock sides of the circle that also face forward.
That was
So
very
when that
nice.
circle turns, we still know which direction is forward if we are on their flank.
Yep.
So if you're on the front, you know. If you're in the flank, you know. And if you're in the rear, you have nothing marking it, so you're still going to be able to know.
Well, isn't there still that open area in one of the circles?
Yeah. The back is just open.
The back is just no marker at all, so you know where you're at. As a tank who has to point tank busters and big tail fart AoE wind gusts of God knows what into the wall so I don't kill all the healers, I love the fact that I now know which direction stuff is facing. So when I see that charge of tail gust, tailwind, back kick, whatever, I know that the back end of that thing is either facing me so I can hit a cooldown, or it's facing the edge of the arena so nobody has to worry about it. Having those 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock markers are an absolute godsend
It's also really nice for really large enemies, where it's like, okay, there may have been the 12 o'clock, but it might have been hard to see or obscured by their body or something like that.
Yep.
And God forbid that the targeting ring is red and we're fighting something like, oh, I don't know, Ifrit? Like, obviously the Ifrit fight is designed that you can see the targeting ring on the ground. But, like, if anything is fire affected or fire elemental or fire crystal attuned or fire 4 hits the ground and there's more than 2 black mages, you can't see any of this stuff anyway. Now we have, like, actual straight up UI piece that's not, like, blended into the framework of the, no, screw it, UI piece so that I could see where the hell this thing is going. So I stopped killing the scholars.
And at the same time, it's still, like, it's not, like, super weird and clunky looking. It still integrates in nicely.
Yep, it's actually within the 2 lines of the circles, and it's when I first saw it, I was like, is that new?
It is new, and it's the
it's
focused. It's the focused target arrow, is what it is. It's the centerpiece of the focused target arrow, and I'm like, that's great. We're reusing an asset, and it's very, very, very helpful. I'm kind of looking forward to going back during leveling roulette and stuff and seeing it on a bunch of older stuff. Because the new stuff, sure, whatever. The new boss has the new mechanic. Duh. I want to see it on the old stuff. I want to see how it works going backwards.
Yeah, and I have noticed that there's a few mobs that don't have a defined front or back or sides, like, you know, the big jelly flan mobs.
Yeah.
I mean, having those is really nice.
Yeah.
So,
I think there are some where it's just like, it counts as the right positional wherever you're doing it from, but that's usually like for ones that are fixed in a spot and you can only access certain bits of them anyway.
Yep.
Either fixed in a spot or it's just trash and there's 5 of them and they know you're going to AoE them anyway.
But it is still nice that they're, you know, paying attention to some of the needs, because I mean, it's really fast to notice that little arrow if you're just trying to glance at, you know, just above your UI or something, because you're trying to button mash and make sure to hit all the buttons in the proper orders.
We're not in the old school WoW days where, like, the fact that WoW had a game under it didn't really matter anymore because all you saw was UI and mods and charging spells and
I was never a fan
I remember
of that.
you guys both remember exactly what our screens looked like. They were a mess. And like now I don't want that again. Like, let's be honest, I don't want that again. If I want that, I'm just gonna go work in data science again because that's all it is. I want to play a game. I want to see the weird ice breathing dragon tusk based thing that shoots electric fireballs. I want that, but I also want to know where it's going. So just little tiny UI adjustments, something as small as 2 arrows was like, we wiped because I pointed it out and the healer thought it was cool and stood in the freaking AoE and died. We had to start over. But like, it was the fact that we were all super cool with dying so that we could look at the dumb thing on the ground.
That's freaking
in the
awesome.
circle.
It's like, I died, but I know why I died this time.
I know why God, that is. Oh, I need that on a shirt. All right.
Let's continue talking about some of the other things that we received in the patch so far, instead of jumping into the
just as another small quality of life one that kind of had a big impact, the bit where if you bring a full party to duty roulette leveling, it will now do something within 8 levels of the lowest party member. No more going with my friends who are all in their mid 70s and, oh hey, we got sent to Hoke Manor again. So Sasha is fine. Hoke Manor.
Yeah. That is actually really cool because now it means that the low level person is still using all of their skills that they're currently familiar with. Mostly. As opposed to welcome back to being level 16 where you have 2 buttons to push and you're like, well, now I'm not getting better at my class.
Well, I mean, if you're level 40 though, I mean, you're still going to get some of the, you still might get Brave Locks, but
that's even so, the fact that we can get people to be like, all right, you're within a few levels, you're going to use the combo that you're practicing and learning.
Yeah, you'll most likely get Stone Vigil, but you still might get Brave Locks.
Yeah.
Nothing's perfect.
No, I was digging through some of the things towards the end of the patch notes, and I came across that new house that you can design in your workshop, and holy crap,
the Forge House. I just prototyped one earlier.
That looks so cool.
That is, I might try and build up a medium one of those and switch my personal house to that.
And like the large one even has like a little staircase and second floor thing. Like it looks It's not just, okay, here's the block of the house. It's like, here's an entire little structure around it.
Yeah,
It's not, here's your box that comes in 17 different colors with weird eyeballs on the top of some of them. It looks like an actual building.
it has nice structure to it.
It has a lot of roleplay potential.
It is aesthetically pleasing. I mean, I think my favorite is always going to be the Hingen style houses.
Mm-hmm.
It's just my aesthetic. I really enjoy that.
Yes, Weed Castle, we get it.
But having something like
Shush
this,
you.
I'm not wrong.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm telling you, shush.
But
Seriously though, is the new house dyeable? Because I want those wood beams to be brown.
I can actually go check. I've got it prototyped.
there's a good chance that they are, because they've been pretty good at changing the colors on that stuff.
I'm gonna go look. I will be back on screen momentarily. I have
Oh my god, all right. Okay, bye.
He's doing it for science.
That's fine.
Also, I think also unrelated, I think my submersibles are back.
Yeah, speaking of submersibles, they're going up
Unrelated.
to 90 now. They go from 80 to 90.
Yep. There's a batch of new areas. There's all the usual fun stuff to be found. If you like submersibles, you know all about this kind of thing.
I haven't touched them in a long time.
If you're not into submersibles, it's probably not going to convince you to start, but I like them.
A schedule. We have a schedule and specific people that are allowed to work on the subs, and we send them out at certain times.
I mean, it's mostly you just want to know when they're coming back so you can send them right out again.
It's that, but we also have a list of all the places that they're going so that we can get specific items for specific people.
Mm-hmm.
And once we have that item, then we send it to the next location.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean,
We have six people. We have a schedule. We have a part-time job doing subs every time the cap goes up.
Yeah, Phoenix Down was the same way. I think it still is to a little bit, isn't it, Seyrr?
The only reason we don't have something like that is because I am the only person currently doing work on subs, so it's mostly what I want it to be. I got to get Moose a plum paper parasol for his birthday. It was nice.
But I remember when airships first became a thing, I mean, there were only a few people that were allowed access to the building and prototyping and that stuff. And then there were a couple of people who were the airship captains. I know there's a lot of larger free companies that do the same thing, because if they let everybody do what they wanted, it would be absolute chaos.
We never get anything done.
The building.
Yeah.
White oak and white ash logs and some cocobolo.
Honestly, Seyrr, I remember literally logging in at one point, and within seconds, I had purple text, and you were like, "Hi, are you doing anything?" And I was like, "I'd like to play the game, but no, And I just warped to your house and just like pieced out and made dinner while in a party while you built a sub by yourself.
Thank God you don't have to do that anymore, right?
And I'm just like, there's some things that needed to go away. That was one of them.
Yeah. Now, if I decide I want to start working on ours, I can, because for the longest time, it was just me. I'm the only one who's generally signed in on the free company most of the time. So But no, I get it. But it's nice to have some of that, and I'm glad that they're still expanding on that entire thing and working on it. I'm wondering what we're gonna get in. Are we gonna get spaceships in 6.0?
Oh my gosh, we couldn't we?
Okay, Klauss, you need to take the matchbook and put it down and stop flicking them at the gas can that is Seyrr.
Why? It's fun.
I would like to take this opportunity to remind you that Eorzea is a pre-industrial revolution society. Now let's talk about our spaceships.
Okay, there's one thing that I'm disappointed in. I remember hearing during the live letters that we were supposed to get a whole bunch of new stuff for the Gold Saucer.
We got like one thing.
We got the fucking Rainmaker again. I mean, granted, for those of you who don't have it already, you know, boo-hoo.
I think there's a new emote as well, isn't there?
I don't think so. I went and checked, and the only thing that I saw that was... I have basically everything. I'm looking for things to spend MGP on.
No, I thought there was like a new event coming up and they were adding a new emote to it.
And maybe it's coming. It might be later on in the patch, but like I said, for right now, the only thing that I saw new was they added the Rainmaker for 5,000 MGP to the lady who sells hairstyles.
There is also a thing where they'll say like, okay, it's going to be in 5.5, and that may include 5.5, 5.5.1, 5.5.5, and 5.5.6.
Yeah, that's true. But I was hoping for
Which
something
is
to
still
spend.
annoying.
I want to spend some MGP. I'm
Well, if
drowning
you'd
in
like
it.
to earn more MGP to add to that 9.5 million that you have, you can go play some Triple Triad because there is now some new cards.
Yeah, there are new cards.
Yay!
I'm still just lagging behind on that because I just can't be damned.
I am getting reports that they drop much more easily from a lot of sources now.
They're
Oh,
dropping
it's-
easier, and also you can have two, or you can have a 5-star, or you can have 2 4-star or higher, but you can have 1 5-star.
Oh yeah,
Which means
I haven't redesigned my decks yet, so that can make things very easy to win now.
So you get a 5, you get a 5, a 4, 2 3s, and a 1 is usually what the build is going to be for most people.
Oh, I thought you could have as many 3s as you wanted.
Yeah, as
You
many
can have as many
are-
3s as you want, but strategically, you end up wanting the super spiky cards that have like a 1 and an 8 on opposing sides or whatever, just to throw off options for things like add and any other alternate rules.
Yeah, I mean that's why you've got multiple decks, but still it'd be nice to have a
Yeah.
4-star in there as well. So a little bit better.
3 3s, a 4, and a 5 definitely feels good until you get somebody that has like add as a rule or combo as a rule, and you're like, awesome. And then you just get stopped by like garbage.
Or it's chaos and they have like 3 5-stars in their deck as an NPC.
Pardon me as I throw the twins and fan cred at you, and you get a Caterpillar and an elemental and this terrible art of Ishtola from Realm Reborn that the highest stat is a 5. And you're like, oh my god, it's so hard.
But yeah, I think that was my only disappointment in the things that I've seen so far. But everything else, they've added some new fish that can go in the aquariums. They've added some new flower pot seeds. Some of the outdoor things that are for like a smithing table and some armor stands. That's really neat.
That'll go nicely with that forge house.
Definitely, or just in somebody who wants to design an outdoor forge. You know, they want to be their own little Geralt. Because that's basically what that table is that's the forge in Hearst Mill.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
I
neat.
mean, I guess you could put like an ultimate kettle next to it, just like for the finishing touch there.
Yeah, I've got one of those. All right.
Let's see. Next thing was just some miscellaneous stuff. Prizes for the Chloe's gold and silver and bronze certificates have been adjusted. Have anybody done a Wondrous Tales book in the last 6 months?
I haven't.
Yeah.
I've done like 3 or 4 just because you get half a level of experience if you get all 9 seals, but most of the time it becomes all dusty, smelly, and I have to throw it away because I just forget about it.
Yeah.
It definitely hasn't been something that I've been focusing hard on.
No. The Faux Hollows has been adjusted. The Naval Unreal is gone, and we are to the War Leader Unreal.
Leviathan.
So if you want to go flying off the side of the boat again, we got a thing that you can go to.
Exactly.
Memories.
Also, if you really, really, really liked Nier, you can have the Nier hair now.
Yep.
2 Nier hairs.
Yeah, there are two that drop out of the new 24
Yeah,
member. We'll talk about
2D
that in a little
and
bit.
9S.
Talk about that in just a
Yup.
little bit.
Yeah.
Some other things. They also added some new furnishings. That's the word I wanted. New furnishings for your home, indoor and outdoor. They added some more things that came from the furnishing design contest. So for those of you whose designs are now in game, congratulations. It's pretty neat.
Those Phasmascapes are kind of cool.
There's a
They look really cool.
lot of really nice things that are being designed and put into the game, so we can do our own little Barbie dream house. Yeah, a lot of people
I
really
want the
enjoy it.
apothecary shelf. That's pretty cool.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the storyline without spoilers. They did some things in that storyline that I honestly wasn't expecting, but I'm glad they did.
It's like unexpected but not surprising, if that
No.
makes sense.
Especially with who they went after. I think it was already talked about. I don't believe this is a spoiler, but Kryl and Tadaru have been tormenting poor Estinian for the past 2 patches.
I mean, that showed up in the freaking Tales from the Shadows.
Yeah, it was hilarious. So
It was.
Estinian came back to join us within the storyline. Like I said, I don't believe that's spoilerish. So
they mentioned that he was going to be a trust as well, so I don't think there's any surprises here.
But so having him in there and then doing what we did, I thought that was actually a fitting time to. It was surprising, but also I thought it fit well, especially with we're having to deal with Lunar Bahamut again. We saw him at the end of patch 5.4. And
yeah, there were some aspects to this particular enemy that tied in with a lot of old story beats that I had not really thought of, but it makes sense that, hey, they were going to like bring some of these back, bring back some of these old questions and issues, fill out a couple details, and with that, give us some really badass sequences.
Yeah, and I was totally down with it, and how they brought that into the new dungeon, Pagelfan. And how it worked with the whole Eorzean Alliance trying to build the trust of the different beast tribes. It was great.
The final area in Pagelfan was just like really pretty.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that last bit where you're flying to the last area. Oh, I liked.
And the last area itself, like it felt a bit different from what we usually get in these dungeons.
Well, as opposed to the squared circle or the like very obvious, like here's your boss zone. It's like, oh, okay, cool. There's 4 sticks on the side and some flavor around, and it's a circle this time. Neat.
Yeah.
Like we didn't really expect much. This time it was like, wait, what are we in? Where are we? We had a process to get here.
Yep. And
that process was kind of involved. And that's a lot better than just we walked from one end of the tunnel to the other and killed everything from here to there.
Yep.
Like, that's fine. That's what dungeons are, and they're great, and I play the crap out of them, but like there needs to be something just different, just off-center enough every time to really make them worthwhile.
2 words for y'all: second boss.
Yeah.
Second boss.
Yeah.
That was fucking amazing. I loved it.
It's been ages since we had a boss in that style. I feel like you have to go back to ARR to find something like that. Yep. And it just was a really fun and interesting breakup of the usual routine.
You know what?
I set my controller down and then had to go, oh, wait, shit, we're not done. Because I was so used to that being the final and not the mid.
But no, I liked how that worked. It kind of reminded me of a mix between the 2 phases in Castrum in Boja.
Castrum Meridianum?
No.
In
Boja.
Castrum Lacus Litor.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you think about
There's a lot of Castrums you gotta specify.
That's true. That's why I specified the one in Boja. I couldn't remember the Lacus, Blackus.
It means lakeside.
Or
lakeshore.
I mean, if you think about it, because it was the way the fight was designed, it was like that fight, but you're taking on both halves.
Kinda, yeah.
So I thought it was kind of neat. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's been an actual fight that's been similar to this particular style. The mechanics were well done. It wasn't overly difficult, but it was fun. It was really fun.
It was in depth enough that it kept us actively playing. Our chat was pretty active. We had 4 people going in blind, which is, I get having one person with experience is better, and I get that once you know the dungeon, it's a lot faster, and like going with trusts allows you to do all this stuff. Going in with 4 human players completely freaking blind
is the best.
Is so
it's
so
rewarding.
Satisfying. Even if your summoner has eye level 491, it's fine. It doesn't matter.
Also, quite frankly, dungeons are generally designed such that you can reasonably pick up the mechanics of stuff as you're doing them.
Yep.
Like they'll usually have, hey, we're going to have this first bit that sort of demonstrates it for you, and you need to just like watch and discern what's going on and then do it after that. That's doable.
Oh yeah, I definitely felt some of the conveyance in there, like, oh, they're teaching us a thing, and then like we come around a corner, oh, there it is. Okay, neat. Like I could see how they built it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First boss had some interesting mechanics too. Wasn't difficult to pick that up. The last boss has some real random mechanics in there that can make your run a little bit difficult.
It's all stuff you've seen in a smaller scale. There's just a ton of it.
Yeah.
And that's where you have to start knowing what to do, where to stand, where to go. And sometimes you have to just leave a defensive cooldown up. Or as a healer, you have to say, I'm going to get hit, in exchange for which I'm healing all 4 of us to full. But it's going to cost me all my mana and you guys are on your own for a second. Like, sometimes you have to plan ahead to just get absolutely stomped in an attack in order to get through it.
Yeah, it makes you
It's
think a little
wild.
bit, though. I mean, there are certain things you really need to watch the ground on a
Yes.
couple of those attacks, because there's little AoEs that dot the ground all over the place in random locations,
And they're quick.
and they're quick. And then they
They're
pop up
quick.
to a bigger AoE that leaves a stack on you, a vulnerability stack. if you
I
get
got
hit
to
by it.
the highest Vol stacks I've ever gotten to is 27.
How are you still alive?
He just
7 healers, and we were trying. So
Okay.
the highest I've ever gotten being a dumbass was like 11. But it happens. The highest that I got to in that fight was like 3.
yeah. I mean, it's not
And then we
bad,
died and went in again, and I never got hit again.
Yeah,
but it was
there
a process.
because if you have too many vuln stacks and you get hit by that stack AoE, yeah, that's gonna be a
it's over.
yep.
It's over. You can't. At a certain point, I'm literally just standing there blowing defensive cooldowns one
Yep.
after another, and the healer is just standing there throwing mana at me, and I'm still taking damage because there's nothing you can do
Yep.
when you have too many.
When you're getting hit by Happy Birthday, there's not much you can do.
Pretty much. Pretty much. But yeah, I got lit up a couple times. It wasn't too bad, but it's definitely a good dungeon. It's not like Heroes Gauntlet, which just feels like a dungeon that is fun more than challenging. This definitely feels like it's more challenging. There's definitely some mechanics that we're not used to, some stuff we had to relearn. Communication was important. This one felt like a good challenge dungeon.
It's also a very good story dungeon.
Yes.
It fits the where you're at in the story, as well as it tells more of that story. It
kind of feels a little like it's setting the tone for what's to come.
Mhm.
It feels like a better version of The Burn.
Yeah,
I could go with that.
it does.
It feels like The Burn, where the story is important, what you're doing is important, the design is cool, the mechanics are cool. 5 weeks later, you're running through it in 11 minutes without thinking about it, but that's an MMO for you. The boss has some stuff you have to pay attention to, and if you don't pay attention, you die, even if you're overpowered. If you do pay attention, you're fine. But The Burn definitely turned into a rinse-repeat 7-minute dungeon. This doesn't feel like it will. This feels like it's going to actually require some effort every time.
Some of the trash is actually very high HP, and there's a lot of it.
Oh, I took tiny pulls because my healer was new, my summoner had crap gear, I was new, and we were like, let's just do tiny pulls. And about halfway through, we're like, she goes, let's do a big pull. We did a big pull. We lived
Barely.
and like one of the DPS was down. We're like, all right. And the healer goes, okay, so let's go to small pulls again. It's like, yeah, because that sucks.
Also, you get to culturally appropriate some lizard folk, so that's fun.
Yeah, that was a process that, yeah.
I was more thinking of the armor, but yes, that too.
Yes, that's where I was at. There's some cool mechanics, and there's some stuff that's going on that you're not doing, which for every dungeon that has something like that, I always love when there's stuff that's happening that is related to the dungeon, that is related to the mechanics or the unlocking of the next piece, that you as a player don't have to do.
Gimlet
that you
Dark.
get to observe and enjoy. Yeah, Gimlet Dark, Heroes Gauntlet, where they blow up the rock and it falls and you can run across. Just little stuff like that adds up to create a unique experience.
And they brought that here as well.
For sure.
You're not just okay, you're a player running through this. You are a hero participating in this thing, and a bunch of stuff is going on, and this is a big chaotic battlefield.
You are the
Exactly.
Warrior of Light. There's also 200 other people doing stuff right now. during
That's how
this
major operations work.
yeah, during this 20-minute run of the dungeon, castle, desert, forest, whatever it is you're in, there needs to be other people doing stuff.
Yep, and
This
it
one
makes it
definitely
feel
has that
alive.
space.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see where this brings us in part 2, and when we get that in May, I believe they said.
I think so.
Late May, because I think it's about 6 or 7 weeks between.
Yeah, it'll be a couple weeks after FanFest. All right.
So late May.
Yeah, this one definitely felt a little bit table setting in terms of some of the stuff. And that's like, okay, we know Endwalker is coming. We know 6.0 itself will be the big finale. So we need to do just kind of a little like, okay, we are being brought into the final phase. Time for stuff to be getting amped up towards this big crescendo.
Yep. All right. So Taliz, you said you did not run the new 24-man.
I have not yet. Honestly, once bitten, twice shy. I didn't really enjoy the second chapter, so I haven't really looked into it yet.
That's fair, but I will say that I really do enjoy this dwarven story.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's like a lot of stuff kind of exploring, because you've got the Yoko Taro stuff, which apparently a lot of it just makes a lot more sense, or is more just like references that you understand if you've played the various Nier games, and Drakengard apparently.
Which I have not touched.
I haven't, but it is a thing that Moose enjoys discussing, and there's some really weird shit in it that's actually kind of funny. Anyways, but so there's that, but then there is also kind of the parallel story of the dwarven village of Kamra and them trying to deal with all the stuff that's going on. And that one actually took on some really it really started getting fleshed out in a lot of interesting ways, such that it became, okay, this is the bit of the story that we can latch onto that's like a bit more approachable to our characters. And I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up connecting back to some of the themes of the Nier stuff as it goes on.
Yep. I think their storytelling has been very good. I think it's paced for the most part pretty well. It definitely kept me engaged as I went through it. There's a lot of storyline to go through in this particular iteration of the 24-man in order to get to it, as well as after you complete it. The dungeon itself. Wow.
God, it got metaphysical from the get-go, and it did not let up.
It is hard to explain, but if you've run it before, you'll understand when it really messes with your head.
There was a freaking mini game during one of the bosses.
Did we have to do math again?
No.
No.
You get to play a little like Atari style game.
Okay, that'll be fun.
It's in better graphics, but it's that style.
Yes.
Our
Also,
poor...
unexpected quasi-rhythm game, which is always fun.
Yep. That one boss, she annoyed the hell out of me.
I really do want to play Nier just to understand, okay, there is something about you. You clearly are throwing off all these little signals that there is weird, interesting shit going on with you, and I would like to understand that.
That creepy smile. You know what I'm talking about.
The Yoko Taro smile that he uses on a bunch of stuff?
I mean, maybe.
It might be. It's a very wide and just almost... If it had some red lipstick around it, it would be very Joker-esque.
And just the context in which it appeared was very unexpected and unsettling.
Mm-hmm. But overall, I thought that it was a strong 24-man. I died a lot.
The mechanics were super fascinating. And it definitely did have a bit of the, hey, we're going to teach you this idea with the earlier ones and then iterate on it on the later one.
Yep.
Like, to a degree, that was really impressive.
Yep. I waited until last night to run through the storyline in the dungeon. So I was probably one of only 2 people who had not run it yet in our group. So fortunately, we were able to get through it. But I probably died at least half a dozen times.
Oh, I absolutely got that dopamine hit you get when you solve a puzzle repeatedly throughout the raid.
Oh, there were a lot of those moments too, because when you figure out how that mechanic actually works, it's like, that's clever. There's still
the gear drop level for that dungeon.
520.
Let me verify that.
I have the hand piece in my inventory, and I believe it's 520.
That's pretty
yes,
solid.
520.
That's really good for a 24-man.
Yeah, well, it's the same level that you can buy the tome for tome gear, because tome gear is
Right.
now upgradable.
Also, they did not have any belts in there.
I did notice that was in the notes that we're just like, hey, we're getting rid of belts. And it's like, okay, good, about damn time. But it's like,
Right.
wait, does that mean we're just not getting belts starting now?
I mean, if this is going to be the thing that's like, hey, expected to go into, it's like, why bother having to get this if it's going to be going away when we actually do start the next expansion?
So you'll have to either get the Savage belt or the tome belt,
Or just be okay without a belt.
but then you're going to be sorely lacking in your eye level.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd want to have something.
But I mean, like, compared to your glamour level, like, even your accessories are visible. Belts? Ugh.
You still got to
Yeah,
wear
if the
one.
belts were visible, that'd be cool, as opposed to now where your belt is just like attached to the bottom of your jacket or the top of your pants.
Well, that's why they're getting rid of it.
Real talk, I am still ever so slightly grumpy about the fact that I couldn't wear my survival belts or chef belts from 1.0. Dude, no matter what I was doing, having a little map case in a canteen seemed appropriate. Or being able to have a ladle and salt and pepper shakers whenever I was doing literally anything.
Fighting in a dungeon. Hold on, I need to salt this monster here.
It's a
Dude,
slug.
you gotta
Kill
preserve
it with salt.
You gotta preserve the meat. Every run becomes an episode of Delicious in Dungeon. God, I love that manga.
Oh, God.
That is the
That's a
manga.
good one.
That is for those who are not familiar, that is a manga series involving adventurers who are trying to delve down deep into a dungeon on a tight time limit, but don't have a lot in the way of resources. So they figure they can procure food from the monsters in the dungeon. I mean, like, all sorts of dungeon slimes that with proper preparation
Can become a nice, tasty dessert.
Exactly.
For the anime restaurant, the tea is called the Todoroki tea. It's hot and it's cold.
Ooh.
But yeah,
But yes, I am not that sad about it being there. It's like, sweet, this is one less thing I need to worry about clogging up the loot tables.
but yeah, I would say when you have the opportunity to do so, Taliz, run through that storyline and get in there and run the dungeon. It is pretty good.
I'm still going to do it. I'm just probably going to do it as a DPS.
As somebody who has development experience, you'll understand.
There's definitely like it's the curse, right? If you get really, really good at a job at certain points in your life, and I'm not super good at development, just throwing that out there. I'm not great at it, but there's a certain amount of skills that you build, and then when you walk away from that job, everything you see from that day forward, you view through a completely different lens. And oh my God, playing 14 as somebody that worked on Nintendo games for 3 years, I see some very, very good choices, and I see some things that I wish I could screenshot, drive to Redmond, and smack somebody in the face with and go, this is better, do this! There's some really cool stuff.
Also, if you hadn't done the kind of quest, the in-between quest that was not when the last raid was released, but after, there was like a little extra one. Like, that combined with the stuff from this one, it ends up being a surprisingly poignant and emotional.
Definitely.
That's good.
Oh, and without giving specifics, they did once again have the final boss theme be a mashup of a Final Fantasy tune and a theme from Yoko Taro's works.
And that is how you sell me on running something, is that right there.
I didn't recognize the other one, but Spender said that the music alone made him cry a few times.
And you, just for completing these, you get 5 orchestrion rolls.
Yeah.
Jesus.
They're very serious with the music.
Yes.
It's almost like they know, I say, staring at the pile of Square Enix CDs. It's almost like they know.
And
seriously, I listened to the Maker's Ruin / the Dark Colossus. God, what's the name of that piece? Dark Colossus something. Dark Colossus Destroys All.
Yep.
Like I listened to that mashup on loop for like an hour and a half when I was trying to get some library work done earlier. It just was oddly motivating.
I told you guys a few months ago about my friend Elaine Koth, who hadn't seen 14 in years, but she had played Nier with her ex-relationship partner. And I was like, "Oh, you remember Way to the World?" She's like, "Yeah." And then I like played a little bit on the YouTube. She's like, "Yeah, I remember this song. The song is really sad." And then of course I played Way to the World Prelude. And she was just like, "Holy shit." And I was like, "Yeah, we don't care. No one's gonna stop us from doing the cool thing."
All right, let's go ahead.
All right, well, shit. That's what I'm doing this week.
Excellent.
And let's talk about the last bit. The thing that Seyrr has done that the other two of us have not yet is the cloud deck.
So I'll go ahead and keep it brief. In terms of the story, satisfying end to it, there's a lot of stuff where it's like, if you've watched any amount of giant mech anime, it's like, there's no way it could have ended any differently. And it is tragic and slightly hopeful and a little beautiful. And it's like, this is hitting all the beats that it needs to hit because they have specifically set out to tell this style of story here. But it was well executed. There are also some very satisfying bits.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to running it. I just have not had the opportunity to do so yet. It's been a very busy real life week.
The fight itself is really fascinating. Without getting too much into specifics, I could tell you that when I first because you end up on top on the cloud deck thing as part of story stuff, like you're doing stuff, going things, and then you're like up in the sky, and it's like, hey, we're approaching, and then you'll actually begin the fight. So you get to see what the arena is going to be like a little bit before it starts.
Okay.
And I was very surprised. It was like some of the physical parameters of the arena were absolutely not what I was expecting. I'm trying to figure out like if I should just avoid saying anything.
Let's hold it for 2 weeks because I'm going to do it and I want to talk with you about it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Some of the physical aspects of the arena were very unexpected. And then once it actually got started, I was pleasantly surprised as okay, it turns out they were doing something very different from what I thought they were going to do with it. And it ends up creating some really interesting mechanics in the process. There was a lot of it that as I was doing, I was like, oh man, I wonder how this is going to work in the Savage fight or the Extreme fight since it's a trial.
I did a lot of mechanics building in boss fights for RPGs. And so that's where the reason why I pay so much attention to mechanics is because my job was making mechanics interesting, but still clear. So the fact that they are building mechanics through and then showing it to you later, I'm down.
I only recently learned, although once I learned it, it made a lot of sense, that they build the extreme or savage version first, and then they down tune it to the regular, and so like remove or adjust stuff to make. But they build the more complex one first. That's like, okay, that actually makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and so that's made me, that's made me a lot more interested in like paying attention to these things and thinking about, okay, what might this have been? How could one remix this? Like knowing that I don't know why, but it made it more interesting.
Well, that's how we design cars, right? We design a car with 400 horsepower that has crazy grip potential that can drive high enough up a mountain that there isn't enough oxygen to run properly. Like we can design cars for that. And then we're like, cool, this needs to cap out at 35 miles an hour and get 40 miles to the gallon. We start powerful and down tune, because starting on the down tune and trying to get more powerful, you end up with $20,000 Corollas that make 100 horsepower. You start with power and you go down, you end up with $30,000 Challengers that make 700 horsepower.
Nice. But yeah, so really interesting fight, some unexpected mechanics, some stuff that kind of like develops and is emergent throughout. Some bits that I wasn't quite sure how they were going to make it work, but I was at the end, I was like, that was a really cool fight.
Nice. I'm looking
so
forward
I've
to
got,
it.
let's see here. I've got
He's got the whiteboard.
Run, Near Raid, Sapphire Weapon, Buy Cool House, Cap Tomes, and Cap Gunbreaker. Does that sound like a solid week of stuff to do?
Change Sapphire to Diamond and you're good.
Oh, is it Diamond? Okay, hang on, let me get that.
Sapphire was the one you did the solo fight.
Oh, that was cool. I liked that one. That was my favorite one because there was all the mecha references.
Yep.
There will be more mecha references.
Outstanding.
All right.
There will be a thing like, I think it's referred like the Macross Missile Massacre or whatever it is, where you have like the missile that becomes there's going to be some of that.
Outstanding. Is that the there's so many missiles that you can't even tell where anything stops?
and it's like they were all launching, but then all of a sudden they are doing this weird curving thing. How did they doing that?
That is actually, yeah, I think that's actually a Macross thing that gets referenced. But never mind, I'm gonna go way deep into this. We need to stop.
Yes, we do.
I just remember.
Go. Don't let me stay here.
And on that note, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Well, actually, before we get into that,
taco so big, fat taco so big.
I'm gonna mute you.
That's fair.
Before we get into the outro, what I was gonna say is, if anybody out there wants to discuss some of the things that we got in the new patch, join us in our Discord channel. It's a great place to discuss anything and everything Final Fantasy, whether it's the new content, whether it's wanting to know more about something within the game, whether it's trying to come up with a real life equivalent to how to make this certain dish that you eat as a DPS, or just random fangirling about whatever you want. I don't care. Come join us. I will post a link to that in the chat, and we'll also link that. I think we'll link that in the show notes for once. So if you want to join us on Discord sometime, please do. It's a pretty good, fun resource with a pretty good group of people that like to hang out in there. So come say hi. So with that being said, that will now do it for this episode. If you liked what you heard, please make sure to like, subscribe, or follow us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or whatever your preferred podcatcher is. And if possible, leave us a rating or review. It really does help us know how we're doing on the show, and let us know, if there's things we can improve, as well as it helps to expand the audience. It lets other people know what to think of our show as well. If you really dig this show, you can consider subscribing here at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio, like Taliz and Nicknar did tonight. We appreciate that.
I re-upped
tomorrow, so that's when mine expires. You get access to a number of subscriber-only emotes and badges, as well as you get to help support our channel and help us grow. And if you don't have access to that, you can go support us out on patreon.com/PhoenixDownRadio, like our benevolent overlord, Rory Fenrir. We use all of those funds to help grow the show, helps to buy Taliz new headphones, help to get a PS5 for the podcast, cameras, just helps us to expand and do all the little mundane things. Just if the less we have to worry about, the more we can focus on the fun stuff and the good stuff and give you guys better content. At least that's our overall goal, is to continue to give you guys better content. And we hope that we're continuing to do that. But whatever type of support it is, whether it's a like, an email, a retweet, a follow, a subscription, whatever, it's all greatly appreciated, because we really do enjoy hanging out with you guys. We have an amazing community, and we want to keep it growing. So thank you. If you want to catch up on all of our back episodes, you can go out to our website, PhoenixDownRadio.com. Like I said, if you have any questions, you want to chime in on your PS5 experiences, or anything like that, you can email podcast@PhoenixDownRadio.com. You can hit us up on Twitter @PHXDNRadio. And we put all of our podcasts in video form out on youtube.com/PhoenixDownRadio if you happen to miss the live show here at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio. All right. Who wants to start with some shout outs?
I have a bunch. You have to go first this week, Seyrr.
Yeah, Seyrr.
I don't feel like I have a lot. Like, people have been cool and all, but nothing is super notable. Shout out to my coworkers, Ebony and Tiffany, with whom we just finished a drama program we were running. We got about like 10 or 12 teenagers who put on a play on Zoom that we had like about 100 people watching on YouTube.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, they did such good work. Like, it was really fun to see them start from like haltingly going through the script to just like really starting to learn and own these characters and make them their own. A couple of them, like when they forgot lines, improv'd well enough that the audience couldn't even tell.
Nice.
And it was just a fun time all around. We had our last matinee performance today. So I am going to miss doing that, but we are already looking at running a similar program again for the summer because apparently there are a lot of kids who do miss doing drama club and the like.
Good.
So shout out to my fellow librarians for the work on that. It was really fun working with them, as well as all the teens who really put their hearts into it. You can find me on social media, mostly. I don't use a lot of it. You can find me on Twitter at FF14 Seyrr. That's FFXIV SEYRR. 1 Y, 2 R's. You can also find me on the Discord, which I do tend to monitor a bit more. Especially if you ping me, I will almost certainly be up for chatting. I am pretty much always up for talking. Those two can tell you.
Cool. That's why we hang out, man.
All right, Taliz, you're up, buddy.
Okay, shout outs to Seyrr's Moogle Totoro shirt that I just noticed, which is rad as hell. Shout outs to my D&D DM, who I don't know what his online presence is, and he's kind of weird about his online presence, so I'm not going to talk about who he is. But he made a wonderful and super cool adventure for us, and we did absolutely none of it, and he handled it like a champ.
That is the D&D experience right there.
It is so the DM can determine what you're doing. The players determine what the soundtrack is, right? And if it's like a bank robbery, we determine if it's like the Benny Hill theme, and that's usually what we end up with. Shout outs to Harley Date from Hyperion, who left our FC to go do other things and then has come back because she is rad and awesome. She doesn't know it yet, but she also gets to now deal with the new 10 levels of the submarine issue. And she doesn't know it yet, but she will. Shout outs to Klauss for telling me about gunner glasses, because now, for the first time since 2013, I can use a computer for more than 15 minutes without blacking out and waking up an hour later.
That's
so fun. I can now go back to my old job, which it turns out has new words and vernacular in it and an extra remarkable amount of income that it didn't have the last time I did it. So it's kind of exciting.
Well, good luck on getting that. I mean that.
Entry level is, entry level for a reason, but like it's still a lot to learn, but that is a super excitingly cool thing. Shout outs to the import guys for allowing me to do really dumb things with a lot of their cars and helping me get parts for Marvelous Motors and personal projects.
Very cool.
You can find me or Marvelous Motors on TikTok at Marvelous Tofu. You can also find me on Instagram at Marvelous Tofu. I have other social media. If you can find it, follow me, and I might follow you back.
That's a big maybe.
It's a big maybe. It's a big maybe.
Yeah, social...
See, if I had control over the music, this is where I would be pulling up Crazy Ex-Girlfriends, research me obsessively.
Yeah, social media is a thing. It's just hard to be social in this day and age right now. At least for me.
Yeah.
But
talking to strangers is frustrating sometimes.
Yeah. Just reading some of that stuff has been frustrating. It's like, I don't want to engage with this right now. Give me some happy and stupid memes and I'll engage with that. Or puppy pictures. Or puppy picture memes. Anyway, I want to shout out to these two yahoos. So thank you so much for always making this podcast such a fun thing to do. Shout out to Bobbing Bobber Brewing Company and Jimmy's Pizza for putting on the pizza eating contest today and having a good time. Always fun. Well, I've shouted out Jimmy's number of times, but they're worth it. If you're ever in this area, Taliz.
So remember I was going to come last summer, and then I moved to Japan, and then last summer was Global Pepperoni, and so I'm still planning on coming and visiting you. I just don't know when.
Yes, I know. And we're going to go to Jimmy's. We're going to go do weird stuff, probably hang out at the Mall of America just because it's something to do.
It's something to do, and I can actually play video games with you now.
Absolutely.
Nice.
I had another shout out and I just forgot who the fuck it was. Don't you hate when that happens? You wanted to thank somebody for being awesome and you just totally forgot the name because brains work really messed up like?
Man, brains are so doing a job they were never intended to do, and it's remarkable they function as well as they do.
Yep. Well, shout out to the people who are doing their best.
Yeah.
Because we know you're doing your best. It's not easy. We're here with you. You can do it. And we love you.
And if you can't, that's okay too. We still love you.
Yes. And if you want to try and follow me on social media, like I said, I've been a little bit distant from it, but you can follow me at PHXDN_KLAUSS on Twitter. I've been, like I said, been kind of silent on there, but if you just want to say hi, I'll say hi back. I do that. It's cool. But yeah, I've been just trying to get by and do my thing. I hope you guys are all able to do your thing. And let's keep moving on. So for my co-hosts, Seyrr Tomono, for Taliz Marvelous, I am Klauss Nightbringer, wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Open to music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.